worked on, and I've kind of given up at because I feel like I reached a good stopping point. It's not concluding the story, which upsets me, but at the same time, I still developed it. I still worked on it. I still learned what I wanted and learned how to best progress and go through it. So even though you might not consider yourself a dev, the fact is you did actually produce something. It might not have been great. It might not have been a complete thing. It might have just been a proof of concept, which I mentioned earlier. There's nothing wrong with making proofs of concepts because that whole making a rough. So, new file. Oh, don't open over there. Open over here. So I mentioned this earlier with the ideas of a rough. Always work on a new layer. Your rough. Oh, God, no. That's terrible. Why is it doing that? Your rough should be playable. That's it. Your rough should be playable. It should represent a rough idea of what you're trying to achieve. A demo is just a rough. That's it. And I know it's funny, again, because I've only ever produced one demo that I've kind of abandoned at this point. But I abandoned it because I reached my limit. I reached my limit when it came to understanding coding, art, time, and skill. C.A.T.S. I reached my limit, and because I reached my limit, I stopped working on it. I lost motivation, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal to lose motivation because you run into a limit, a wall of some sort. But the idea is if you're able to make a demo, which is a rough, something that's playable, if you're able to interact with it, if you're able to hear the music, press some buttons, and see some reaction from you pressing those buttons, you have technically developed something, and therefore, technically, a developer. You're not the developer you want to be, but you are a developer. So instead of being like, oh, I haven't made progress on my main project for a demo in 4 years, say, I have not yet gotten to the level I need to progress. Maybe it's your coding, maybe it's your art, maybe it's your time, maybe it's your skill. One of these four things is the key as to what's holding you back, and you need to work on other projects, other demos, other roughs in order to build up that skill, and then take it and go back to that first project to work more on another rough, an updated demo, and improve what you have so far. So yeah, I'm probably going to butcher it for a while. Patience, which I'm guessing is essentially supposed to be patience, which if that's the case, bravo. I seriously applaud you on that. But yeah, a rough demo or a rough demo, they're the same thing. The main thing is that it's playable. You hit the limit of your coding, of your art, of your time, of your skill. Doesn't matter. One of these four is the reason. So you go back, you do it again on a different project. We'll name it Project 2, Project 3, and you keep going to develop. And then once you're done developing, you go back and you work more on your one that you do want to work on. In worst case, I'm actually very distracted. I've originally came from doing mods for games, so then I keep doing both modding and game dev. So I went too focused on modding and left game dev for now. No, you didn't leave game dev. You're not distracted. You are building a skill. Modding is a portion of game dev. Modding is a puzzle piece. So, if you got puzzle pieces of what you can do, you have one piece towards the whole thing. You're not very distracted in this sense. You're not procrastinating. You're not doing any of that. You're developing these. Modding takes a lot. I've worked on mods before. I made terrible mods back when The Elder Scrolls Oblivion first came out and we first got the creation kit. I made some god-awful things. But it helped me develop these and learn more about what I was doing. Yeah, you're not working on the one project that you really want to work on. That's perfectly fine. But you are still progressing as a developer because, again, C.A.T.S. You're working on your coding for your mods. You're working on the art of your mods. You're putting time into them. And you're learning what you can do within a time limit. You are working on your skills as well as overall for every portion of it. So don't say, I'm not a developer, because you are a developer. Hell, you're further along than me from my understanding so far. You develop mods for now. You might go back and develop something else. Develop another project, develop another game, or something like that. But for now, you're creating these lovely puzzle pieces that every game needs. Because all a mod is, it's an extra puzzle piece that you add on to the original puzzle. Or, in some cases, like with most Bethesda games, it's the puzzle piece that fixes everything because their code is such shit that everything breaks without it. Yeah. The fact that every PC port of pretty much every Bethesda game needs an unofficial mod patch in order to work. And I don't mean like in order for you to add mods, but I just mean for it to actually be playable on PC, is a perfect example of how important this puzzle piece of a mod is. You're not just a modder, you're a developer. You're developing a single piece of the game dev. Apologies, I went a bit of a rant, but yeah, that's my thought process, that's my feelings on that. You just need more time to work on what you are working on, so that way you can build up your skills and then go back to the project that you want to work on. And like I mentioned earlier, as far as the way roughs work, you have a beginning and an end and the journey between. And you have these little guideposts in the middle. These could be your levels, these could be key story points, or whatever. Doesn't matter. But these central guideposts, they change. And you might develop this first guidepost and be like, hey, I changed something. I changed a theme. I changed a style. I changed something important. And it doesn't fit this beginning anymore. So, you make a beginning 1. And then you continue on. You get to here, and you're like, hey, I added more. I developed more. I created more. It's more fleshed out. This beginning doesn't work anymore. So, you change it to beginning 2. And then you link it in. And you keep going and going until you get to the end. And once you get to the end, the ending you originally had might not fit. And that's fine. Because on your journey to get everything linked to the end, you've developed everything else. You've now got a new beginning. You've now got new mechanics. You've now got new things. That's all good. That's all great. Because then you can look at them all and say, I don't like this ending. This ending's not good. It doesn't fit the vision anymore. It might have been part of the original vision, but the vision has changed. The concept has changed. And now you get a new ending. And you just link it there. And then you wrap all of that together and you put it into the rough. Congratulations. You got a game. It might be a demo. It might be a rough. It might look and play like crap, but that's fine. That's the joy. It's great that way because it all goes back to developing cats. That's all it's about. Getting better and making something enjoyable. Something that not only, people who play it enjoy, but you enjoy. And that's the most important thing. You have to enjoy what you're doing. If you enjoy making mods, making these little pieces right now, then that's what you enjoy doing. You're still a game dev. You're just making these little guideposts instead of a beginning or an end. That's it. I know my PNG doesn't really change my expressions that much, but I'm smiling. Hobby indeed. Yes, hobby indeed. Also, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. I go on mini rants. I used to say, welcome to my channel, ranting ravings from the mouth. I eat food, I play video games, and I talk about development because I am all about development. I love development. I am autistic as fuck, and writing fantasy game dev, that is my bread and butter for my flavor of autism, and I love it. So I've spent years reading and understanding it so that way I could one day do it as well. And I'm still trying to get there. But the fact is, you have shown, or you have proof, a portfolio that you already have some of these pieces. And that's what's important. Wow, I need some